Well, the wife got a new Mustang. We just picked this 67 up the other day. Honestly, I was expecting normal old car things, and this thing is actually really nice to drive. So it's an older restoration, about during the 90s, early 2000, kind of got finished up, sort of a deal. But it's a driver. I mean, it ain't perfect around the edges, but 70 miles an hour, let go of the steering wheel, keeps going nice and straight. It's got a Blueprint 302 in it, runs good. It's just carbureted, but a couple of pumps, fires right up. No problems whatsoever with it driving. I mean, it's not making a ton of horsepower, but it pushes the car along at a pretty good clip just fine. It runs a little bit warm doing 70, but it'll cool right down as soon as you're doing 55. It's definitely got to do with the way some of the radiator stuff has been done in electric fan conversion there. The only thing that really kind of sucks about it is the drum brakes all the way around. Largely, we're just going to see if we can get the drum brakes to work and hopefully just enjoy driving this thing as a family. But I do want to take care of some stuff like some cooling changes to make sure that we can actually run down the freeway just fine with it and not have to worry about that. The gas gauge doesn't work. I mean, that's pretty typical for an old car anyway. And, you know, swapping out to some much better headlights if we're going to be driving it at night, kind of a thing. And then kind of address whether or not we're just going to pony up and do disc brakes all the way around on it. Like I said, the car got redone in the 90s, so it's got a little bit of wear and tear, but overall, I mean, it's in nice shape. I really think these 4-lug wheels are cool. It's going to be disappointing if we got to go to 5-lug, I think. But obviously by that center console you can tell it was a car that was done in the 90s. I don't know why, it's just the style about it that makes it very much so. But I mean, nice shape. I think whoever did restore this thing like took care and did it nice. Also cool thing, stereo is upgraded a little bit, and weirdly enough, with all the windows down, cruising 70 down the freeway, there's almost no wind noise, which is super cool. Like, the Cutlass is just atrocious for wind noise. Like, I wear noise canceling headphones when I'm driving that any kind of long distance there. Meanwhile, this Mustang, there's hardly any noise. You could talk to somebody with the windows wide open going 70, and with a little bit of stereo upgrade, you can hear the music just fine. Like, I don't know what it is about it. Something about the way it pushes the air around it. Like, it's just nice. Really nice to drive down the highway, which was very much not what I was expecting. Actually, pretty impressed with this car so far. But, yeah. It's in good shape. This needs a little cleaning. I mean, there's just stuff like this, but that's whatever. Not a big deal. We don't want perfect cars around here. We want cars we can use. But yeah, the doors open and close nice. Really, this was, I think we had a pretty good purchase here. So it's a Blueprint crate engine 302. There's a dyno sheet in the paperwork that we got. It's like 245 horse and 360 foot-pounds. Nothing crazy, but honestly, it's more than enough to push this car along. I mean, it accelerates, you know, up to freeway speeds just fine. I don't see any reason to change that at all. I just want to kind of refine it a little bit. It's got this electric fan on here with these goofy short shrouds that really suck, and there's a lot of air gap around the sides, so one of the things that I'll be addressing is taking care of that. That'll almost immediately fix our running a little bit warm on the freeway kind of a thing. There's no battery hold down, so we're definitely going to want to do something about that. The electric fan is just wired up dead to the battery off its own relay, so when you key off the car, sometimes the fan will turn back on if it triggers, you know, if it just kind of heat soaks a little bit. Not too big a deal about that for right now. We got a little bit of valve covers are weeping a little bit, so probably buy some nice gaskets for that. But otherwise, I really don't want to do a whole lot to it because it works and it's nice to drive, which I don't know. Like I wanted to. We were getting this car. It was the wife's deal. See if she actually wants to do classic car things. And she's actually been kind of 2 for 2 right now on Mustangs and being able to sell them for more money than she buys them for. So this is potential for a third one as well. I don't think we're gonna lose money on it, so that's why I was fine, you know, doing the purchasing of this, because then hey, she can try it out, and because it works so well, this is a good one to try that on. Looks like it's got some decent headers on it, and the exhaust is like not too loud. It's got a little bit of rumble to it, but it's, you know, quiet for going down the highway. There's no drone. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, here's the shroud. Like, it's just zip tied on here and not done well, and all this air gap. So we block all that off and get that fixed there. It'll definitely be better going down the highway for cooling. Oh yeah, and the throttle pedal was like weirdly really close to the floor. I already adjusted that this morning because it wasn't even getting wide open throttle, and like I said, I thought the engine was peppy enough as it was. So now we've probably got a little more in there too, and it made the throttle position a little bit better for her being able to drive. Now for reference, that's her second Mustang she's had. We got that for a really good price also, and could probably resell it for a couple $1,000 profit, and she's really done nothing other than drive it, because you know, she found the right person who really took care of that thing from brand new to keep it in good shape, and then got it at a reasonable price also, versus a lot of the other cars like that we looked at the time were just clapped out and trashy because they weren't taken well care of. So yeah, old one, new one, 2 Mustangs, probably more than enough. And the red one came with some extra parts, like an extra set of wheels, couple of rear ends, which is cool. I mean, because they're 5-lug, so if we do need to do the 5-lug conversion and do discs all the way around there, should be able to just swap axles or swap the whole rear end, depending on how that works out. They're both 8-inch, so it should work out pretty well. But also, it came with a whole other car. So this is the type of thing where while we were looking at the red one, the guy starts asking us about spare parts and if we want to take any of that. And I got the sense he was just trying to clean up. And we were kind of looking the car over, and it seemed like the longer we stood there, the more stuff he was throwing in. And we stood there long enough that he asked if I wanted a whole shell. And then got some pictures and saw that, oh, there's some new sheet metal and other associated parts along with it. And not that I really wanted to take on a project, much less do a Mustang, although, man, every time I see vintage British touring car, the want for a classic Mustang does pop up, because it seems like racing cars sideways through turns would be really fun. But anyway, guy throws this stuff in, basically asking like, hey, do you actually want to take this? And my response being, sure. So now, yeah, I've got, what, we got his and hers? Or something like that. So the story is he, their previous owner, drug this thing out of a field many years ago, and basically the bottom fell off while he did that. However, I mean, the rockers look like they're going to be decent, and then got a new rear frame rail, new front frame rail section there, or at least the base, trunk pan, floor pan. There's also some of the torque box covers somewhere. I think they were in the red car. There's a piece of rear glass over there. Like I said, the rear ends. That big hunk of steel on this side is a jig he started to build. So I just pulled the floor and a couple parts off of this. So basically, should be able to try to assemble some of the stuff before actually really cutting the car apart. Or better yet, it can loosely assemble it on there and then maybe set the car on top and finish jigging things up as far as reinstalling all the parts. But you know, clearly the front is gone on here, and that whole frame rail section's folded over. But so it'll still need like a firewall, maybe, or at least the floor pan stuff. I'm sure it's ugly in behind here. Seats are actually pretty nice though, and kind of cool colors. Oh, they're actually in shockingly good condition for what I expected. Got a couple of doors. They don't look terrible. Obviously, all the interior stuff is kind of shot, but it's nice to just have parts. Yeah, I think these are the seat pans for on the floor, he said. So yeah, lots of spare parts kind of laying around. And I mean, when somebody's just like, hey, here, take this for free, and there's obviously some money has been spent and there's something of value here, why not? I'm not going to get to this project anytime super soon, but it will be on the docket. Also, just because of how much work it needs, fastback conversion, I'm told that makes it worth significantly more money, and if you're already buying quarter panels and inner fenders and all that stuff, all that cheap comes with the fastback conversion kit anyway, so that would probably be pretty sweet. And of course it'll need a whole front end and stuff, so I mean there's a lot of money that's going to have to get spent, and even more time to make this into a solid car, but I think it's worth saving. I mean, why not? I certainly have the skills and the ability, so what the heck? Might as well build one. So all that being said, we went from one newer Mustang to now two older Mustangs in the driveway. Although that opening shot lineup with 3 decades represented up there with the Mustang, the Cutlass, and the F-250 is pretty awesome. I do like coming outside and looking at that. I kind of want to, you know, because of the time involvement on this one, you know, it's just going to be a bigger project. I need to finish doing the transmission swap on the old truck, and I need to get my tube frame Cutlass into a place where we can get some paint on it and make sure that it's not gonna just rust to crap as soon as I push it outside, especially with, you know, a bunch of sheet metal and stuff going in there now. So this isn't gonna happen anytime soon. I mean, maybe in a few months I'll be able to start, you know, picking at it a little bit, so we're just gonna get it unloaded here in the yard for now. But I kind of want to just throw it out there, like, this thing is for sale. Now, if somebody watching this wants it as is, hit me up. Let's figure out something, because at bare minimum, whatever I can get out of this is going to help pay for the other one. Kind of a thing, but also I'm kind of like excited about doing it as a project too. So if somebody wanted to make a deal ahead of time and then have me continue doing the project and build the car for them, I'd be real interested in taking some offers and talking about that. Otherwise, yeah, like I said, the plan is to get the floor stuff figured out. I mean, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to make it a fastback. Number one, just because it seems to add a lot of value to the car itself, and you know, they're cool. I mean, right now, if you try to look, it seems like fastbacks, like driver quality ones, are over double what we just paid for that coupe. So I mean, why not? Especially when, if I didn't fastback it, the amount of sheet metal that's got to be purchased to complete the car anyway is going to be probably within a couple of grand of the fastback conversion kit, which comes with all of that stuff. Anyway, so at that point, it's just like it just feels like money ahead and like the right thing to do to build a cooler car, kind of a thing. But yeah, I never thought I'd have an old Mustang, but now I've got two. What could possibly go wrong? Nailed it. Yeah, it doesn't look like much right now. But there's a really nice car there somewhere. We just gotta find it. I'm trying to dive in and checking these drum brakes out. I know it pulls to the right, so I'm guessing this left side's not doing much anything in the front. I haven't done front drums before, so I'm kind of curious how all this comes apart. It looks like it's all like a unit hub instead of, yep. Well, I guess that does look like the drum could be separate, but it's got some, I don't know, almost like a rivet kind of thing that's holding it up there. Oh, the brakes look newer. Oh, there's definitely some newer springs in there. Man, that adjuster looks like it's way out, but the pads look fine. Wonder if that's the wrong adjuster, or maybe that's just how it looks. I'm not really sure. Yeah, maybe we'll just see if we can spin the adjuster and get something to happen. Was that enough or not? I don't have a clue, but certainly made it a little more difficult to put on there. But at the same time, need this tight. I did take the plug off the back side. I just couldn't see the adjuster because it's kind of far away from it. I didn't want to just stab around in there aimlessly with the screwdriver. But now I know what it looks like, so do something with that. I know this is great video, just great. There's this little slot in here. Reach in and try to find the adjuster. Yeah, with the jack in the way. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to. But I did turn it out a whole bunch, so maybe I'll just try it the way it is. And if not, we can try again. Significantly better on the brakes. It's still way strong on the right side though. So let's get that adjusted some more. At least slow it down. Well, I was able to adjust it easy enough. Oh, whoops, forgot about the blocks. Same thing, might as well just give everything a quick once over and try it again. Way better. Yeah, the red Mustang is looking real good after a wash. Definitely, you know, showing some little spots around the edges. I mean, there's just a little bit of minor things like this, but it's probably been 30 years since it was redone, so not a big deal. Got a little update on the frost turquoise is what this factory color is. I think it's actually pretty cool. But might have a little issue with this. I mean, maybe the guy I got it from will find the title and bill of sale that he got, but otherwise the VIN numbers are like right here and right there. And as the guy that threw it in with the red car said, when he pulled this thing out of a field, the whole front end ripped right off. So, and there was no front end parts. So I'm guessing that that was all super gone. I think he said it sat under like a pine tree for 20 years or something like that. Like something ridiculous. Like there's a reason it's in this shape. So again, I'm not getting started on this thing anytime soon, but unless something with its VIN number pops up, or I can find it somewhere else on the car, but I didn't see anything quick online about it being anywhere else on the car to try to get a title. Probably gonna be my best bet just to sell the new sheet metal and any usable parts off of it, like I don't know, maybe these vents. I mean, the dash should probably clean up real good if somebody needed parts off of that. Steering column, trunk hinges. This piece looks pretty good. Some of the roof structure, the tail panels, not half bad. It's got a little spot there, I guess. I mean, there's some driver quality tail lights kind of a thing. I don't know, there's some bits and pieces, but I know there's almost $3,000, or a little over $3,000 actually, new sheet metal just sitting here. Plus a couple of doors, although I see the driver's side has a dent on there, but honestly that's something I can fix no problem. So that's not too much of an issue. I think the big thing that's pretty cool is the fact that it had seats. And interior, and they're in shockingly good shape for original. And I think they're a cool color combo. I bet that's not a super common one, so maybe the seats are worth something. I would imagine so, but I don't know. Even worst case scenario, if all I get is selling some parts out of this and a couple of grand to stick back into paying for the red one, we're still net win on me taking my Friday to go get that thing. Got the Mustang nosed into the garage here right now because it's kind of raining outside a little bit. I was working on greasing the chassis just to check and make sure, got through all that. So now I'm just gonna address the fan here and getting rid of this shroud. As I stated before, it's got like the zip tie push through the fins kind of a thing, except that's just holding it to this radiator shroud right now. I bought some more of those, so we're just going to take the shroud off and stick the fan right through the radiator. The shim they were using. Same thing on the other side. That was loud. Way louder than I thought it was going to be. Alright, well the problem here is that there's this bar coming across. I'm not sure if you can see it or not. So I need to like space out the fan above that. The problem is if I space out the fan, now we're making an air gap all the way around it. That's not going to seal, and then more or less what's going to happen is we're going to have already hot air in the engine bay being sucked around that edge, and it's not going to cool properly. Now there's no rod on the front side of the radiator, but it's really close to the crossmember, bumper, bracket, frame thing, whatever you want to call it. So that's why I'm kind of like, I could move the radiator in, like space it out away from the core support. However, what's going to happen there is that now I'm going to have extra big gaps. I mean, I already got gaps all the way around, but it's going to be even bigger gaps where we're going to be leaking more air around the radiator type of a situation. So know how important that rod is. It seems like it probably is important for holding that radiator together for whatever reason. Otherwise, why would it be there, kind of a thing. But really, with the radiator bolted in place, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. But I don't want the radiator coming apart either. So I might have some. I think I have some seal I could put around the fan shroud that would space it out, and it would keep it sealed. While the stuff is the right thickness, it's not going to stick well at all, and I can already envision this turning into a huge pain in the butt trying to get it to work. So, gotta think of another plan. Alright, much as I hate these things, I'm gonna try to make them work. Because it doesn't line the bolt holes up, so I'm gonna slot these so at least we can get a bolt to catch with washers. That way it'll actually mount properly to the fan, or to the radiator, I mean, and then it won't be like tipped out for whatever reason it was before. I don't know, the guy said it was hitting something, but I don't see what it was hitting, so I'm gonna have to check on that. Or he just had it spaced out because he couldn't get his zip tie in there to get it to latch, so. Alright, as I'm looking at these areas blocked off, I want to just dimple dye them, because then I can flare them out and they'll make kind of like a funnel effect for as air passes through. Also, and provide a little more airflow at highway speeds. Now, this will be 1 3/4 inch. It may not look like much, just having those little holes in each corner, but that's almost 10 additional square inches of area. And if that seems like a lot, I mean, we're talking, let's see, 19 by 16. So 304 square inches is the total of the radiator, or that the shroud, because the shroud fits the radiator pretty good. So 304, but because we've got a 15.5 inch hole, this is only 188.6. So 304 minus 188, so there's 116 inches, or basically 1/3 of the area of this radiator is blocked because of this short little shroud. Now, if this shroud was deeper, say 2 inches deep, it'd be way less of an effect on the airflow going through the radiator. But because it's so short, it's really blocking air here at highway speeds, kind of a thing. So with 116 blocked, and we're gonna gain about 10, I mean, that's a pretty significant change in percentage-wise. It's not quite 10%, probably about 8.5 or 9% increase in airflow just by putting these holes in. But then with them dimple dyed, you know, it'll make kind of a funnel, maybe a bit of a Venturi effect, and it'll actually help draw more air there too. I don't know if it really is that worth. I don't know if it's really worth being concerned about in any kind of effect about why it's dimple dyed. I'm just thinking dimple dye to keep the strength in the shroud, versus I would just completely, you know, cut out a big triangle or something here, but then we're going to be real flimsy at the fan mount and, you know, near the bend and stuff like that. So by dimple dyeing it, I can retain a bunch of strength in this plate, or actually even increase the strength of the plate while also letting more air through. I just positioned my dimple dye a little bit away from the corner radius to make sure that stuff will be able to sit flat. Made a mark. I'm going to find center of this so that I can then mark all 4 corners evenly. I haven't talked about it, but shop upgrades, I got an air dryer now. And the press is hard plumbed, so no more leaky air hose. So you can see with our dimple dies now, even though we've only increased by just under 10 square inches of actual opening, hopefully we're encouraging more airflow through an even greater area with that dimple die. And the reason for this is that like your air that's up here in this corner anyway, for it to pass through the radiator, it has to then turn 90 degrees to get out here, to then turn 90 degrees to get through the fan area, and air does not like to change directions. So now at highway speeds, the air that's coming through this corner can go straight through or only make a slight deviation thanks to the dimple die, and still exit the radiator in this area without being essentially blocked. We've also bolted the fan on now, so it's properly mounted and not just zip tied on there. And now I just got to finish my slots, and then we'll do the same thing, use some 1/4-inch bolts and bolt it onto the radiator. This is one of those times that proves that this universal just does not fit worth a dang. My water pump and fan are touching, and it's not quite in place on the radiator. And if anything, it would need to come up slightly. I had to go back and look at the video from the start of this where they had this fan mounted underneath, and then that's why it was all zip tied together and kind of a big pile. That must also be why the shroud was spaced out on the bottom, because it had to go over that stud that's been screwing us from the beginning. Yep, now I need to rethink this again. Well, I'm really stuck with kind of only one option at this point. If I try to put it underneath the shroud, kind of like the way it was, I'm not really gaining anything. And just thinking about that now, it for sure had all of this area on the outside of the fan completely blocked off, because there was literally nowhere for it to go other than the leaky gaps around it. So I guess it wasn't 100% blocked off, but there was definitely no straight through going on. And the fan itself, when it was running, wasn't actually sucking any air through that portion of the radiator as the shroud was supposed to make it do, because this edge was underneath here against the radiator and blocking all of that. So when the fan was running, it was only working the area that the fan had available to it and not the whole radiator in the first place. Now, with the way the height works out, like, we just barely don't have clearance. However, there's the bolts for the water pump and the wires right here, and I think that that would be a massive problem for clearance, even if I went and like cut the nose off the water pump shaft, which I don't want to do anyway, because I pretty much have no way to cut that without putting a ton of heat into it and probably end up wrecking the seal anyway. So kind of a non-starter there. So really the only option is to take this plate and lower it closer to the radiator, which again, for the way a shroud works and air needing to turn, it's not the ideal thing to do, but I don't have any room. I can't move the radiator, and I can't move this on the shroud without causing a whole bunch of knock-on problems or doing a whole lot of modification. And I can't just simply bend this back flat and re-drill the holes, as much as I would love to do that, because you can already see the aluminum is stressed on the bends. So it's taking a shape, and trying to straighten it back out, it's probably going to only end up with it cracking across the whole thing. So I basically need to build a whole new shroud, or a whole new way to mount the fan. I mean, if I can get in here and weld on some tabs after the fact, I still need to take this 3/4 depth and cut it down to, you know, maybe 1/4 inch from where it's going to mount. That'd still leave about a 1/2 inch from the radiator fins out to the shroud, which is super tight, but now with these holes it should be less of a problem. But then I'll have to weld the tab back on. But I gotta cut the whole thing all the way around. You can see I've scribed my cut line. Now the idea here is going to be just take these flange pieces for the mount. After they're cut, slide them up, re-weld it. Okay, I got it cut and welded. And see how much shorter the ends are. I did a full weld along the tops and then like, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches, 1.5 inches, 4 or 5 inches in each corner. You can see it's got a little bit of a warp to it, but the fan will hold the center flat and then it'll be bolted down flat on the sides. Like it'll pull into shape once it's on the car. Alright, now it's remounted. So we're bolted tight. We've got clearance. I mean, I can kind of wiggle it around a little bit, but it's not enough that's gonna ever get to the water pump pulley there. The wire seems to be far enough out of the way, and if it's nice and secured here, so that looks like a non-issue. Overall, not too bad, big improvement. So our shroud, even though we're a little tight to the radiator, more than I want to be for sure, to make this the most, as efficient as possible anyway. I mean, really, the farther away we get, the more efficient it gets. But at least the shroud's going to function properly now. We've got these holes to allow highway speed air through. We may end up with a little bit of back bleeding, but really shouldn't be that much compared to the grand scheme. I mean, ideally we'd have some kind of a flap on here that would open up at highway speeds and close when the fan is pulling more air. But overall, I'm ready to give it a try. I mean, if this doesn't work out, we can always block them back off or do some kind of a flap thing like I was saying. But overall, big improvement. We eliminated a bunch of janky stuff and a whole bunch of zip ties, so hopefully it'll solve our highway little bit hot running, just to make sure that we can, take this thing on a long road trip and cruise at 70 miles an hour down the interstate. So mostly that's just what we wanted to accomplish. I mean, driving it around at 55 was absolutely no problem whatsoever with heat. It would come up at higher speeds. So hopefully that's addressed now. Now, just to test my theory on these holes, I jumpered the fan to turn it on. If I put my hand near this hole, can't really feel any air moving whatsoever. However, if I put my hand on the opposite side of the radiator near the hole, I can definitely feel a lot of air moving by comparison. So I think that's the benefit of getting this fan out where it's actually using the shroud properly, and it's still managing to pull air through the radiator in the correct direction, even with this hole here. Alright, jumping over to valve cover, since it's got a little bit of a leak going on. Apparently they're glued down because I got all the bolts out. Oh, not sure how much of this stuff is really part of the problem here then, if they glued it down that much. But I've got better gaskets to put on. Holy cow, yeah, it's on there. Also, if you haven't learned the hard way, these chrome valve covers are usually just terrible about actually getting to seal, especially with the copper or the cork style gasket. Of course, there's this bracket for nothing, just in the way. We can get rid of that. There was another one hanging off the back of the valve cover too. Just Why did stuff get put on that's worthless? Yeah, just a little 302, nothing special valve train wise. Oh, that's not surprising. Although it does look like better springs than stock. It's definitely newer keepers with that green tint. But original style stuff, nothing wrong with that. This engine runs really good, as it should. It's got only like 2,000 miles on it. Oh, let's just make sure that our new gaskets can actually fit. And seal, that's the important part. Looks like we're landing, so that's good. Yeah, I don't know, with the cork style gasket, I can kind of see the pattern of the head where it kind of trails off in the corner where the gasket's kind of pulled in over here, so there's definitely a little bit of leaking going on there. Definitely a lot more oily and darker around these spots down here. Looks like it's got these steel inserts, like they should have been able to not be over torqued. So part of that must have been that the bolts were loose. They did glue it down a little bit. Alright. I don't know, the big thing is this chrome, it's just, you get a little oil on it and it's completely slippery, like it doesn't hold the gasket. So it was probably fine when this was new, but then you can kind of see there where some residue is where this gasket probably shrank and pulled in. And now we've got a leak. Now I'm not against cork gaskets, I just don't like them when they're on chrome. They work a lot better on like OEM stamped steel that doesn't have a chrome layer. Now a lot of this glue they used attached the cork pretty good, like there's traces of cork all through here, but you can see where it just, you know, either they missed or it just didn't adhere to the chrome. Now if you're going to be using a chrome cover like this, whether it's valve covers or oil pan or timing cover or whatever, like I like to come in here and scuff this up. I'm going to do that right now with a wire brush just to clean this, but also kind of like scratch into the chrome a little bit and give it like some friction surface where it's not just this slippery smooth, and it'll actually have something to bite the gasket with. Just went up the block and back, way less squeaky than what it was before I greased it. Also, it's kind of like shaking it around where there was a little squeak, like it seemed to be the loudest and the most constant. I think it was the radius rod bushings up at the front and or the sway bar, so I just kind of sprayed WD-40 on that. Now it's nice and quiet. Those bushings, I mean, even if they were replaced when this car got restored before, they're still 30 plus years old. So, you know, it's just a matter of they're probably not bad, but they're gonna make some noise kind of a thing. Otherwise, just kind of cleaned off a little bit on the interior, just quick wipe down, looks a lot better in there. And yeah, I think we're ready for our first road trip with this thing.